The days of Luffy being nothing more than an upstart rookie are long gone. His current status as a Yonko cements him as one of the major powerhouses within the One Piece world of today. We've been alongside Luffy for every step of his journey, from the beginnings where he had departed from Dawn Island all the way up until his epic standoff against the world government at Egghead Island. The story of Luffy's journey in the present day is very well known, but Luffy's backstory, however, is something that is far less discussed by people. Throughout the last 1,100 chapters of One Piece, we have occasionally received glimpses into Luffy's childhood before he had set sail from Dawn Island. In this video, I want to piece together all of these scattered sections of Luffy's past in order to form a complete backstory for him. This will be a continuation in my series in which I delve into the various backstories of some of your favorite One Piece characters. This includes the Straw Hats, the Supernovas, the Warlords, and even the Yonkos. So if you want to see the backstory of a specific character, then let me know by leaving a comment under this video. So without further delay, here is Luffy's backstory. So the very early moments of Luffy's life remain enshrouded in mystery. Luffy was born in Foosha Village, which is a small port settlement located on Dawn Island. He is the child of Monkey D. Dragon and a currently unknown woman. Dragon had left his son behind while he was still in his infancy. This had left Luffy in the care of his grandfather, Monkey D. Garp. Now this arrangement between Garp and Dragon isn't really revealed to us, as we don't know specifically where Luffy lived during the earliest parts of his life, as well as who had taken care of him while Garp was on duty. Garp trained Luffy during this time with the intention of molding him into becoming a strong marine in the future. His methods were somewhat abusive, with him throwing Luffy down a ravine in order to escape on his own, leaving him in the wild to fend for himself and tying him to a balloon and letting him float away, and having him fight against groups of monkeys in the forest being just a few of the trials that he had forced Luffy to face. Honestly, this does remind me of how Piccolo had trained Gohan during the Saiyan arc. So this insane training routine had persisted until Luffy was 6 years old, while Garp was away from Dawn Island as he was carrying out his marine responsibilities. Redhead, Shanks and his pirate crew had found themselves stationed at Foosha Village. Luffy had instantly become fascinated by the group, with the crew's sniper Yasop frequently telling Luffy stories of his son Usopp, who was also the same age as Luffy. As Luffy grew closer with the redhead pirates, he had started to hear more tales of their time on the seas, as well as the glory of adventure and freedom that comes along with being a pirate. Luffy had then decided that he had wanted to join the redhead pirates. After Shanks and his crew were in Foosha Village for approximately 1 year, Luffy had then decided to prove to all of them that he was tough enough to be a pirate. He had done this by stabbing himself under his left eye as the crew had watched on in horror. In order to celebrate Luffy's bravery, the crew headed over to Makino's party bar, where Luffy had unsuccessfully continued trying to get Shanks to let him join them. Shanks refuses Luffy's request to join his crew, well, because he is simply too young. Luffy then notices a chest with an unusual looking fruit inside of it. Luffy's curiosity and his large appetite led him to eat the fruit, which in fact was a devil fruit known as the Gomu Gomu no Mi. It was then that a mountain bandit named Higuma had entered the bar alongside his gang as he demanded that they be served some sake. The bartender and owner of the bar, Makino, informed them that the redhead pirates had already drank all the sake that they had available. Though Shanks did offer to give them the last bottle, Higuma accepted the bottle only to smash it against Shanks' head. Shanks and his crew had started to laugh as they started to clean up the mess. Revolted by their cowardice, Higuma continues to abuse Shanks before leaving with the rest of his gang. Luffy is outraged by the fact that Shanks did not fight back. He tries to storm out and confront Higuma as Shanks grabs onto his arm to stop Luffy, but this causes Luffy's arm to stretch to unimaginable lengths. The crew quickly realize that Luffy has eaten the devil fruit that they had recently stolen, as it's then revealed to Luffy that he would now never be able to swim for the rest of his life. Not long after this, the redhead pirates departed from Foosha Village, while Luffy began to learn how to adapt to his new rubber body. However, one day while Luffy was sitting in Makino's party bar, Higuma and his gang returned. Luffy, who was still enraged at how he had treated Shanks, had decided to pick a fight with the gang, but predictably he ended up losing. Just as Higuma was about to kill Luffy, the redhead pirates intervened, having just arrived back at the island. Lucky Roo shot and killed a member of the bandits who had threatened to shoot Shanks. This is before Ben Beckman takes on and comfortably defeats the rest of Higuma's men by himself. Seeing how bad the situation has become for him, Higuma throws a smoke bomb in order to distract the crew as he then escapes to the sea with Luffy. As he enters into deeper water, Higuma kicks Luffy overboard, leaving him to drown. Following this, a Sea King who is known locally as the Lord of the Coast arrives and devours Higuma and his boat in a single bite. The beast then turns its gaze towards Luffy, but before it can cause him any harm, Shanks arrives and moves Luffy out of the way before he scares away the Sea King with his Conqueror's Haki. This rescue attempt came at a massive cost, however, as in the process of saving Luffy, Shanks ended up losing his left arm to the Sea King. This sacrifice had left Luffy feeling heartbroken. Later on, the Redhead pirates would decide to depart Foosha Village for good, with Luffy no longer wishing to join their crew and instead intending to set sail on his own. Shanks teased Luffy for being too weak to be able to do so, to which Luffy had declared that he would be the one to become the Pirate King and bring together a crew that is even stronger than Shanks' crew. This statement made Shanks begin to view Luffy in a new light, as he then handed over to him his straw hat, telling Luffy to return it back to him once he becomes a great pirate. While we don't know specifically what caused Shanks to do this, he later goes on to tell Silver's Rayleigh that Luffy said the exact same words as Goldie Roger. We don't know which words he was referring to, but Luffy's parallels with Roger, especially during his childhood, are something that Oda has occasionally highlighted and drawn attention to. Now, I won't focus on this too much here because it's not really relevant to the main One Piece manga, but during the Redhead pirate's stay at Foosha Village, Luffy developed a close friendship with Shanks' daughter Uta, something that was revealed during the technically canon events of One Piece Film Red. So after the Redhead pirates had departed, Garp was unhappy to find his future marine grandson, who has now dreams of becoming a pirate. He had then taken him up to Mount Kolubo to put him under the care of Curly Dadan. Garp introduced Luffy to Podcast D Ace, another child under Dadan's care, who immediately took a disliking to Luffy. I have a separate video on my channel where I've covered all of Ace's backstory, where it's told through his perspective, so definitely go and check that video out so you have a full picture of what happened during this period of time. Each day, Ace would leave the Dadan family hideout, heading out into the forest surrounding Mount Kolubo in order to explore and hunt. Luffy began attempting to follow him on these excursions, which Ace took an offense to. In response, Ace began obstructing Luffy, placing obstacles in his path, knocking down trees in order to crush Luffy, and tricking him into becoming lost and trapped in the forest. Eventually, Luffy managed to overcome Ace's attempts and made his way over to Grey Terminal, a junkyard that is filled with both the unwanted goods and people of the neighboring Goa Kingdom. There he found Ace alongside a boy named Sabo as they were counting money from a hidden stash of treasure. When Luffy revealed himself, Ace and Sabo captured him as they discussed killing him in order to maintain their secret. Despite coming up with the suggestion, neither of them was willing to end Luffy's life. At this point, Porchemi, a member of the local dominant pirate crew, the Blue Jam Pirates, was walking through the forest, causing Ace and Sabo to hide. Porchemi found Luffy and took him back to his base in order to interrogate him about the money which Ace and Sabo had stolen from the Blue Jam Pirates. Ace and Sabo immediately assumed that Luffy would reveal the location to them, as they rushed quickly for the next few hours, relocating all the money that they had acquired. Once they had done so, however, they noticed how unusual it was that Porchemi still hadn't returned to their original spot in order to try and take back their money. They then realized to their horror that this must mean that Luffy didn't reveal the location to them. We are shown that Luffy had refused to answer any of Porchemi's questions, leading to him beating up Luffy nearly to the point of death with a pair of spiked gloves. Ace and Sabo finally arrived to Luffy's rescue, with Sabo freeing him while Ace took on and defeated Porchemi. This incident caused Ace to come and accept Luffy, with the trio becoming close friends, known throughout the Goa Kingdom for the trouble that they had caused. Now, everything comes to a head one day when they ran from a restaurant in Goa without paying. Now, at the restaurant, an unknown man called out to Sabo as they were escaping. Luffy and Ace then pressured Sabo into telling them who the stranger was, as Sabo reveals that the man was in fact his father, as we learn that Sabo is one of the members of the noble families within Goa. Sabo then went on to explain more of his personal past, telling Ace and Luffy that he ran away from his family due to their preoccupation with maintaining their status, and how Sabo has differing views on matters of slavery and the importance of people. Sabo, Ace and Luffy then shared their dreams for the future with one another as they decide that they would set sail as pirates in order to achieve their dreams once they turn 17. This moment here is another that displays a significant parallel between Luffy and Roger, and it was incredibly adapted into episode 1015 of the anime. Now, with the three boys' dreams shared amongst each other, they then exchanged sake cups in order to become sworn brothers, solidifying their bond. The three of them would now become closer than ever, adventuring throughout the mountains and forests, fighting the fierce beasts of the island and improving their abilities. The group had fought against each other 100 times every day, with Luffy being unable to win a single fight against either Sabo or Ace. This was mainly due to his inability to attack properly because of his devil fruit. Now, before long, Sabo's past ended up catching up to him, with his father paying the Blue Jam pirates to capture Ace and Luffy in order to force Sabo to return to his family. Reluctantly, Sabo agreed to return on the condition that the Blue Jam pirates do not harm Luffy and Ace. Sabo's vacancy caused some tension between Ace and Luffy as the pair argued over whether Sabo would truly want to return to them or not. Blue Jam also coerced the pair into helping him and his crew with some menial tasks, like moving boxes to different locations around Grey Terminal. A few days later, Blue Jam informed the pair that they would be using the boxes, which are filled with explosives and flammable items, to assist with burning down the Grey Terminal on the orders of the nobles within Goa. Ace and Luffy were understandably horrified by this as they consider the number of people who would be killed as a result of this. They refuse to continue helping as Blue Jam then asks them the location of their treasure chest, which they also refuse to provide. This causes the pirates to tie them to a pole within the terminal. As night falls, the Blue Jam pirates set Grey Terminal ablaze, with Ace just barely being able to free himself on Luffy as the flames begin to surround them. The Blue Jam pirates had also found themselves trapped within the Grey Terminal after being betrayed by the nobles, then confronted the pair demanding the location of their treasure. The pirates quickly overpowered both Ace and Luffy, but before they could deal a killing blow to Luffy, Ace knocked out almost the entirety of the crew with an explosion of Conqueror's Haki. This allowed enough time for the Dadan family to arrive, having entered the terminal as they were searching for Ace and Luffy. While Luffy made his escape with most of the family, Ace and Dadan had stayed behind to fight Blue Jam. Luffy, along with the rest of the Dadan family, spent the whole night on Mount Kulubo worrying about the pair's safety, until they had managed to return the following day, heavily injured but still alive. Thankfully, they were able to defeat Blue Jam, but Luffy's delight at his brother's safety would be short-lived as they soon learned that Sabo had been shot down and killed by a celestial dragon while he was setting out to sea. Luffy was distraught at the loss of his brother, and he had fled to the coast where he spent the whole night crying. Ace came for him the next morning, and Luffy made him promise that he would never die, swearing that they would get stronger. For the next 7 years, the pair trained and adventured together, honing their skills and improving their abilities. Luffy finally managed to become adept at using his devil fruit, being able to use his stretching for long-range attacks. At the age of 14, Luffy had bid farewell to Ace, who set out to sea following his 17th birthday. Ace had left Luffy behind in order to train for the next 3 years on his own. Upon turning 17, Luffy said his goodbyes to the Dadan family and the people in Foosha Village before setting sail out onto his own adventure. But this wasn't before getting revenge on the Sea King, who almost took his life many years ago and had taken the left arm of Shanks. Luffy's story from here on out is something that we are all well aware of, so I hope that you've explored this deep dive into the lesser explored part of Luffy's life. We've reached the point of the video where I want to hand over the discussion to all of you. What do you think about Luffy's backstory? Personally, seeing Luffy's reaction to the supposed death of Ace is something that always brings me to the verge of tears, especially when he makes Ace promise to him that he isn't going to die. This backstory is revealed to us following the death of Ace in Marineford. These words are just so impactful, it's just heart-wrenching. I'd love to know all of your thoughts about Luffy's backstory, so continue the discussion. If I've missed anything about his past, then let me know in the comments. And lastly, thank you for making it to the end of this video, and I cannot wait to see you in my next One Piece video. If you enjoy my content, then you can support my channel through Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or even through YouTube by becoming a channel member. You will gain access to exclusive channel perks and a Discord server which I frequently use. So become a member of my Zero Division and be the first to know about my upcoming videos. And once again, thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.